Hi everyone, it's Eric from ecotman12.blogspot.com and welcome to my full review of the HTC One Mini. Now a few days ago you would have seen me review the HTC One. Now this is the HTC One Mini. This is a more budget version of the HTC One. For those that want to pick up a HTC One but can't afford it, HTC have released one of these. Now in a future video I'm going to actually compare the HTC One Mini with the HTC One and maybe even the Nexus 4. But as of now, I'm just going to review this phone as itself and let you guys know if it's actually worth picking one of these up or spending extra money and picking up the HTC One. I'm not going to compare the two properly in this video, that will be for a future video. Now, let's get into the review. Now, let's first talk about the design. Now, the design of the HTC One Mini is supposed to be very, very similar to that of the HTC One, yet it is a little bit different, I'd say. Now, the reason why I say it's a little bit different is because if you have a look, you can see the border. There's got this white border around here. The HTC One did not have a border. Where the screen ended, this end of the screen was the side of the phone. Where the little sort of bezel at the top ended, that was kind of like the top, the end of the phone at the top. Whereas here, HTC have decided to put a metal border all around the phone, which makes it feel more plasticky in hand and makes the back feel a little bit cheaper as well, even though it is a very similar material to the back, although I'm not convinced this is the exact same back HTC have put on the back of the HTC One. So the design wise I think it's good, but I think it does feel cheaper than it could due to this plastic that's going all around the circumference of the phone. The plastic is very hard and does seem like it's very durable plastic, but still I really do wish that they did not have that plastic border. Now over here you'll see two interesting things. No, not the couple sensors and the front facing camera. You'll see the boom sound speaker on the top and the bottom. Yes, HTC have brought their boom sound speakers onto this HTC One Mini. And how do they perform? Well, their size is smaller than the ones found on the HTC One, and that means that the sound quality is going to sort of suffer a little bit, and it does. Is it as good and as rich as the sound on the HTC One? Not at all. These are still very good speakers and probably like one of the best you'll find in the market, apart from the HTC One, but if you've used the HTC One and listened to those speakers, then you'll really want better sounding speakers out of this mobile phone, and you will notice the difference. That being said, they're still very well performing and they are much better than the speakers you'd find on pretty much any other mobile phone out there. So I'd rate them in second place out of all the mobile phones that are out there. These stereo speakers are still very good. Now the screen is a little bit warmer than that of the HTC One, and this is more of a 720p screen rather than a 1080p screen found on the HTC One. The PPI in this is still really quite insane due to the screen size being smaller and then packing those kind of pixels into a small screen. So it's still got a very great PPI and it's still hard to see pixels on this screen. It's just not a 1080p screen and it's not as much of a big screen, so for multimedia experience this is still very good and still probably again one of the greatest you'll find out there due to this very high pixel density screen in combination with the two boom sound speakers. But the screen size is a bit in and it's not as wide as you'd like it to be, although it is really quite tall. Now, overall, I do think that this phone is really quite good. It's still got blink feed, everything you'd want here. It's got HTC Sense 5, and I just pressed the wrong thing. HTC Sense 5 right here. And I'll load up a game here to show you. Now, Dead Trigger works fine, but this is the one which is very, very interesting. Now, as you remember, I've tested this game on pretty much every single smartphone out there. Every single smartphone it lags, apart from the Sony Xperia T, which had a 1.5 GHz dual-core processor. Well, this has got a 1.2 GHz dual-core processor. And the HTC One, which had a 1.7 GHz quad-core processor, couldn't really run the Amazing Spider-Man properly. Let's see how the One Mini fares. Let's increase the volume. It's a tutorial level, so I can't go too far, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going out of the levels of area. This is smooth. This is very smooth. This really is incredibly smooth. This is kind of like the experience, not as good, but very, very near to that experience I had on the Sony Xperia T when playing this game. But this is very strange. This game is running much better on the HTC One Mini than it actually is on the One. I'm really surprised by that. Okay, there you go, now I can swing around. Do you see that? Look at how smooth this is. Why is it so smooth on here, yet so laggy on the HTC One? I think this game really is messed up. It looks like it's properly encoded for devices the dual-core processor as opposed to a quad-core processor. This is very strange. So, game loft, you do lose serious points in this game, but this is not a review of the game. Now, as you can see, the swiping between home screens is incredibly smooth as well. Just going into stuff like the Google Chrome web browser, let's quickly pop in my website right here, which I'll just do right here. And you got the same keyboard that you get on the HTC One. Obviously, this is due to it being on the HTC Sense 5.0, and let's there. So here we go on the mobile site. Let's scroll all the way down to view the web version, and there we go. It's loading up the web page incredibly quickly. Now, as you can see, it scrolls very well. It's got a bit of checkerboarding. It's still loading. There you go, very, very fast. And now let me just zoom into a page. As you can see, it's just going to reflow the text in a minute. And it's not reflow. Oh, that's because I'm using the Google Chrome browser. So that's the Google Chrome browser. Works fine. Let's just quickly... That's something that my brother just was doing on here, not me. So let's quickly go on to my site on this web browser. But as you saw, the Google Chrome web browser was really smooth. Normally, the Google Chrome browser is very laggy, but it wasn't. It was actually very smooth there. Okay, so here you go. Let's pinch to zoom in now. There you go, the text reflows. Zoom in again, the text reflows. That is very, very nice. I always like it in HTC's browsers when the text reflows. So you can zoom in all the way to the text, and if you want to zoom in more, you can. You don't need to scroll left and right. You can just go up and down and read it. So, fantastic feature in HTC's web browsers. I really do adore that. And the web browser, overall, incredibly fast. If you want to just click onto a link, you can, and boom, it just takes you straight to it. As you can see, the review of this just takes you to this review alone. So I really, really do love the responsiveness of this HTC One Mini. How do the speakers perform? Well, let's find out. Let's go into one of my videos, into my uploads, and we'll go into the unboxing of the HTC One Mini. Now I'm looking through the viewfinder here, and as you can see right over here, Android with HTC Sense, Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 dual-core 1.4 GHz processor. It's a dual-core processor, not a quad-core processor, as found in the HTC One. 1 GB of RAM. As I said, I'm looking through. There we go. Okay, so there you go, you've actually had to listen to that. Speakers on this are very, very great. They are one of the best on any mobile phone. I'd rate them in second place, the first place obviously being the HTC One. Now, the speakers on this are absolutely great, but as I said, they're not as good as the HTC One, but I really do like the speakers still. They're still very, very good. Now, let me also tell you about the camera. Now, this camera is the same 4-megapixel ultra-pixel camera that was found on the HTC One. It doesn't give particularly great photos. They lack detail. They do look okay if you just take them and then just view them properly without having to pinch to zoom. But when you pinch to zoom, there's a lack of detail. It's missing a lot of detail, and really, it's not very good. Now, let's talk about the actual capabilities of using this as a phone. Well, this boom sound speaker on the top that you'll be using as your earpiece, very clear sound coming out of that, and the microphone at the bottom, very clear. I've been getting very good actual feedback from recipients who've been taking calls from me, and it is also accompanied by a noise cancelling microphone at the back, which does work extremely well. So overall, the HTC One Mini, is it worth picking up over the HTC One? Well, this is one of the most greatest phones out there for the kind of price and money you can pay for out there. But still, I think the price is a bit high for what you're getting. I mean, many of the features have been downgraded on this. You can capture 1080p video, which is great, but the screens drop down to 720p. The processor from 1.7 GHz quad core is 1.2 GHz dual core. And you know, it's like as well as the processor obviously been dropped. I don't think this will be getting as much kind of software support with the latest versions of Android as well as the HTC One will be getting. So I think the price of this should be lower. Although you are getting great boom sound speakers and great picture quality, and you are obviously getting also Beats audio on here, I still think that the price of this should be lower in order for me to recommend it. As it stands, I would say save up the money and get the HTC One. But if you are on a very, very tight budget and you want to get an experience that's similar to the HTC One, then I really can't say why you shouldn't pick up a HTC One Mini. If you're, like I said, on a really tight budget, this will still work fine for you. All the features it does, the processor is still very fast and very responsive, and the whole operating system is very fluid. Customizing Android is always a joy, and with HTC Sense you can actually take it one step further with HTC's fantastic and amazing luxurious widgets. And it's very easy just to populate, as you can see, and you can even, as you can see, add more panels, although you are restricted to about 5 home screens on the One Mini, which is a bit strange, but you can reorganize them, including blink feed. You can move that around. You could drag this little home icon right over here, which, if I'm doing that right, and you can set another sort of like home section for the home screen. And overall, sorry, let's just do that again. There, set as home. Now this is the home. If you press the home button now, this takes you to this home screen. Overall, I really do like the HTC One Mini. It still is a very nice phone, but thing is, if you're going to see someone using the HTC One after you actually got the One Mini, you are going to get some kind of system envy. Because really, this is still a great handset. Really do love the screen and the speakers, but you are going to notice the difference. It is a noticeable difference as well. The HTC One and One Mini are both great smartphones, but I still favor the HTC One at the end. Even though you have to pay more money for it, I think it's worth it, and you would well notice the difference as well. So, thank you guys very much for watching. This has been Eric from ecartman12.blogspot.com. Please thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I must say a big thanks must go over to Vodafone for sending me this over to review. And you'll pick this up on their website on various deals on contract. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see all of you next time. Take care.